Kylie!
Language.
Hey guys, so as you can tell, this is a little bit different type of video that I'm doing. This one's a mix of the two because it has visual stuff and audio. Wow, cool. I'm a YouTuber doing a voiceover. So yeah, so this is the type of video that I've always wanted to do, which is ranking Kylie Minogue's albums. I want to rank more albums from artists that I like, but figures, of course, I'd start with Kylie, considering, that's what this channel is based on, is her music. Now, the reason why I have not wanted to do this before is because my opinions change very rapidly. And I mean, I ranked her albums after I'd first listened to them, and they are like night and day to how they are now. Like, it is totally changed. So that's why I've always kind of not wanted to do this, is because my opinions change a lot. But I feel like I've been a fan long enough to where I think I've found my definitive list. It could change, so don't take this as gospel of like, oh, this is Sam from Kylie Language official like ranking, like, because it could change. I might redo this video sometime. I don't know. I know I probably will update this video when she releases a new album. But then again, I need to listen to the new album for a while before I can have my opinions on that. So yeah, I ranked it on the theory of me being stuck on an island, and I can only take like so many Kylie albums, like my top 5, my number 1, my you know what I mean. So realistically, if I was stuck on an island, I want a greatest hits album so I can have a mix of everything. But for the sake of this, I did that theory, which is I'm stuck on an island, and which ones do I need? So I have my list here, and a bit of a disclaimer for this video. This is my opinion only. I'm being brutally honest with all these albums. I love all her albums, by the way, so this isn't a situation where I dislike some and love others. I love all her albums, but I will be honest about them. I'm not going to sugarcoat things, so if your favorite falls at the bottom or near the bottom, or is not number 1, sorry. Again, this is just my opinion. You do you, boo. Listen to what you like. Music, a little bit of a rant here. I'll put a time code of when the ranking starts, but a bit of a rabbit trail I'm going on here. But music is probably one of the most subjective things ever, I've noticed. Like, if it's a movie or video game, mostly people will kind of agree. Music, it depends on what hits people, what works for people, and what doesn't. So thought I'd add that in there. Yeah, this is totally my opinion, so sorry, don't throw a pissy fit in the comments if that's all I gotta say. Which I know it's hard to, because sometimes I get mad when people rank something I like at near the bottom. Anyways, I've talked way too much, as I usually do, so let's begin this ranking. Oh, one more thing. I'm not including Kylie Christmas. Get mad, I don't care. It's a Christmas album. It's a great album, but it's a Christmas album. I'm not ranking it with this. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. Number 13, the bottom, is Enjoy Yourself. Now, this is definitely something that a lot of people won't be too surprised by, especially if you saw my top 8 Kylie songs I dislike. I listed quite a few songs from the album on there. Yeah, this is definitely my least favorite Kylie album. And after listening to her, because I listened to all her albums in chronological order, and it was quite a disappointment from Kylie 88, to be honest. I love that album. I love the production on it, and I was so excited for this one. And because a lot of critics say that this is just like her first album, which I will disagree with, like, full-heartedly. This album is not like that first album, in my opinion. It's very different. Still Stock Aitken and Waterman, still a little bit more teeny bopper, I guess to say, more teen pop, more girly pop, I guess to say. But this one is different in that this one, and a lot of critics did note this too, is that this was Saw moving away from high energy and disco and synth pop, and it goes a lot more in the fields of just bubblegum pop and teen pop, which even in the video, looking at the Cherry Red Record box set, Pete even said that. He said like, "Oh, in this album, we really found the correct demographic."
By this album, we really started to understand Kylie and her market.
That's not to say I hate the album though. Again, this has some of my most absolute favorite tracks on it. I mean, Hand on Your Heart, the lead single, that's one of Kylie's most recognizable songs ever. That is just a bop, to say the least. That is such a iconic song. I will listen to that one on repeat like I do Better the Devil You Know, and I Should Be So Lucky. My least favorite of those three that I listed, but I still really like it. Wouldn't It Change a Thing is also absolutely amazing. Other of my favorites are Never Too Late, Nothing to Lose, and Enjoy Yourself. The title track is actually probably my favorite. I really like the synthy production on it. I think it's really danceable and really cute. It's a really cute song. I like the message in it of taking advantage of the now so you don't regret in the future. I really like that. But my main problem with this album is that it feels like two albums. Like, you have those two split parts where it's like you have the more dancey pop songs and then you have the ballads. And then you have I'm Over Dreaming Over You, which is like a weird mix of the two. I like that song, not my favorite though. But the tracks that I really do not like from this album are the ballads. And I said this in that top 8 Kylie songs I dislike, and I'll say it again here. I really do not like these ballads. Like, I cannot get into them. I'm probably the wrong demographic, but these do not work for me. It's the same reason why Britney's debut album is my least favorite of hers, because these cheesy, teeny, boppy ballads are just, I just do not like them. Telltale Signs, My Secret Heart, I just do not like those ones. I find them very boring and a little bit too cheesy. Now, here's the thing. People might be confused by that. Yes, Kylie 88 cheesy. Yes, Enjoy Yourself. Even the songs I like are cheesy. Even you could argue Rhythm of Love could be cheesy. But the thing is, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. That's the type of cheese I like. The ballads I'm not into. And it's not that I don't like ballads, because you'll see by my number 1, I like albums with ballads. But these ones just do not work for me. It's my least favorite on a lot of standpoints. The lyrics, production. So yeah, so Enjoy Yourself is definitely my least favorite Kylie album, but I still really like it. But yeah, definitely my least favorite. Moving on to number 14, we have Let's Get To It, the 4th and final PWL album. I'm so sorry, Lee. I'm so sorry. My friend Lee, who I've talked about before on this channel, he has a channel of his own. This is like one of his favorite albums, Kylie albums, and I'm so sorry, Lee. I'm listening here at the bottom. Let's get to it. Now, this is actually an album that I do really love, and I really like the songs. I like this way more than Enjoy Yourself, obviously listed above. But the reason why this one falls short is because, I don't know, this one just doesn't hit me the same as her other albums. This one was a big change because this was Stalking Me Waterman moving totally away from the disco synth pop. Well, maybe not totally, but mostly, because this was more focused on R&B and New Jack Swing. Now, New Jack Swing is probably one of my top favorite genres, up there with high energy. I love New Jack Swing. It's just so 90s. It's so unapologetically 90s. It has that like attitude. It's R&B, but it has a really hard beat to it. It's very overproduced, but I love it. I love the hard-hitting sound of it. And one of my favorite New Jack Swing albums is Michael Jackson's Dangerous, and I kind of hold that album to a high esteem, which I probably shouldn't, because that's like the most famous New Jack Swing album. But I hold a lot of other New Jack Swing albums to that standard, and this one definitely falls short. I do not think Saul was good at producing this. It doesn't have that same sound as something like a Michael album or a Janet album. It just doesn't work the same for me. You really need someone like Teddy Riley, which obviously Stalking Me and Waterman were not going to have someone else touch their music. Actually, interestingly, I forgot to mention this. This is actually when Aiken left, so it's just Stock and Waterman. He left because he saw this things were getting too samey, which is why Kylie eventually left later on. Thought I'd add that. So yeah, so let's get to it. It's definitely it was definitely a sign of the times album, like a changing things, I guess I should say. But yeah, let's talk about some of the tracks. The lead single was "Word Is Out," which I do really like. I think it's one of the better New Jack Swing tracks. Has a punchy beat to it. Not my favorite though. Compared to the other lead singles like "I Should Be So Lucky," "Hand on Your Heart," and "Better the Devil You Know," it definitely falls way short. It's definitely not remembered very much in Kylie's career retrospectively. "Give Me Just a Little More Time" is a really good cover. I actually used to not like this one, but I now I love this track. I love her vocals on it. She does some really nice vocal clicks in it, or I don't know what to call it. This actually fits in with the tradition of Kylie doing covers on these albums. Interestingly, "Rhythm of Love" did not have a cover on it, but Kylie had "Locomotion," "Enjoy Yourself," "It Tears on My Pillow," and this one has "Just Give Me a Little More Time," or "Give Me Just a Little More Time," which is I love it. I love her vocals on it. Really nice production. Music video is okay, not the best though. But yeah, vocally it's the best of this album, I would kind of say. And it's actually the one that did the most. It did the most commercially successful of all the singles. "Too Much of a Good Thing" is one of my favorite tracks. Now, then we have "Finer Feelings," which the album version is not the best. I don't like it, but the single remix is fire, straight fire. I love the single remix. Thank you to Lee for mentioning that because I didn't know it had a single remix, but I learned now, and it's really good. It's kind of like, which that one actually had Brothers in Rhythm, who later worked with Kylie during the Deconstruction era, but that I call that the baby Confide in Me or the prototype Confide in Me because it's very similar in terms of its production. That's partially why I love it so much. "If You Were With Me Now" is very boring to me. I don't remember what it sounds like. That's how bad it is. Keith Washington's very good vocalist. Kylie's vocals are good too, but I do not particularly care for that track. "Let's Get to It." It's a catchy song. I like it. "Right Here, Right Now" is really good. Now, the reason why I said Stuck in Me Waterman partially moved away from the synth and dance stuff is because they do not fully, because I was mostly mentioning I Guess I Like It Like That, which is a very rave techno type song, which I love a lot. I love the production on it, but it does not match this album at all. So anyways, it's a good track. It kind of hampers the album, I guess, say in terms of that. So yeah, I've talked about this album way too much. But yeah, that is my thoughts on "Let's Get to It." It's an album that I really like, but it's not my favorite. It's not a go-to album like I need to listen to "Let's Get to It." If I do, I'm listening to the remix of "Finer Feelings" and not the actual album. Moving on to number 11, we have "Kiss Me Once." Now this is an album that a lot of people were probably expecting to be at the bottom because this is a lot of people's least favorite Kylie album. I'll be honest, I think the hate for this album's a little bit overplayed. I think it's a pretty good album. I like the production on it, the lyrics, but it is definitely, as you can tell by its ranking, it's definitely not exactly my favorite of her discography. It's losing a lot of soul, and it's not particularly her best. The lead single, "Into the Blue," is really good. "Million Miles" is super catchy. "I Was Gonna Cancel," "Sexy Love," those are all really good. "Fine" is amazing, should have been a single. Then there's some other questionable spots, like there's "Sexercise," which I love, but a lot of people did not get into. And I will say, getting into dubstep by 2014 was very, very late in the game. I mean, we have Britney doing it in 2011, and Madonna was scraping the surface in 2012. By 2014, dubstep was getting a little bit old. I love dubstep. I think I like Sexercise. I think it's a really experimental track for Kylie, but I can totally understand when people come from when they dislike that track. And yeah, some of them are just, they're not bad songs. It's just, it's not up to par from what we've heard. And it's honestly, Kiss Me Once is an album that I honestly forget about a lot. So yeah, that's my reasoning for Kiss Me Once. Yeah, I think that's all I gotta say about this album. Number 10, we have X, which is fitting because that's X is 10, you know, and 10. Anyway, so yeah, so this is Kylie's triumphant return from breast cancer, which can we have a bit of applause? Woo! Yeah. Awesome. She survived. I'm so happy for her queen. She's a survivor. But in terms of its sound, it's not as triumphant. This is a very messy album, and it's actually quite disappointing because electropop and dance pop were really hitting a good spot at this point in 2007. We had Britney's Blackout album, which was iconic. We had I think Lady Gaga was coming around this time, maybe the next year, 2008, but around that time. We had Madonna, who closest to this time did Confessions, which was an amazing dance album. And we have some amazing producers on this album, like Bloodshine Advent, one of the best producers ever. In my opinion, I love their work. Again, they worked on that Britney album. And you have people like Calvin Harris, but the thing is that gosh, this album is just a mess, and it's such lost potential because the B-side, or not the B-sides even, the unreleased tracks are just so amazing. You can find them on YouTube. Just look up, there's a YouTube channel called Kylie Tracked, which releases all the unreleased stuff. I recommend checking out the X ones because they are amazing. And this could have been a really amazing dance album from Kylie to what I consider to be the golden age of electropop. And it's just a shame that we got what we did. It's not bad. Again, with Kissing Me Once, it's like a parent, when they say I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. It's kind of like that. I'm just so disappointed. This could have been something a lot better, and it's very disappointing. So about some of the tracks, the lead single was Two Hearts, which I do really like. It's a very catchy rock song, but as a lead single, I think that's a bad decision. Just me though, but it did reach high on the charts. I think number 1, which sad to say that's about the highest charting she's gotten since, which is upsetting, but some other singles were In My Arms, the one, All I See, Wow. Wow is probably the most relevant song from this album, and that I hear a lot of people say Wow is their favorite Kylie song, which I disagree with. Well, it's not my favorite, that's what I mean. I don't disagree, you know what I mean. But considering how many people it's their favorite, it's definitely a track a lot of people really like. I do like the single remix. The album version's very lacking in production. I like the single remix of the one. That's a really beautiful song. All I See is okay. It was the only single here in the US, which was... I hate the stereotype that us US people like hip-hop and R&B, because I think In My Arms could have done great here in the US. I digress, talking too much. Probably my favorite track from the album is probably Like a Drug and Sensitized. Like a Drug has that same vibe of Blackout and that type of electropop that I really like. Sensitized is a track I really like. It really has... Kylie's really good at doing Middle Eastern type sounds, and we'll talk more about this later. Actually, the remix of Finer Feelings I mentioned earlier had some Middle Eastern vibes to it. And Kylie does so good with that type of sound. I swear to God, Kylie, release a full album with that because she does amazing. She works with some great producers, and Sensitized is an amazing track. But some of them really just... Like we have like Heartbeat Rock, No More Rain, Stars, Nudity. Nudity's a song I listen to my songs I dislike, and Cosmic, which to me just do not hit the bill. Again, this album could have been so much better. We had some of the ones that were unreleased were like Ripping Up the Disco, which is absolutely amazing song. It gives me very Lady Gaga vibes. It could have been such a hit, but oh well. So again, that's my main reason why X is so low. I like it definitely way better than the previous ones I've mentioned, but the reason why it's so low is because I'm disappointed. Number 9, we have Light Years, which was her comeback album. Now, this actually might be surprising to some of you. This is a very iconic album of hers, has Spinning Around, On a Night Like This, some tracks that are very well known amongst Kylie fans. But this album falls short for me. It's not that. I don't know how to word it. I don't know what it is about this album. Like, I'll listen to it and I love it, but when I'm not listening to it, I kind of forget how good it is. I don't regret my positioning of it, but I don't, something about it just doesn't stick to me. Except for Spinning Around, which to me is the absolute best track on the album, or one of the best ones. I love the 70s disco vibe. I love Kylie. Disco Kylie's iconic. We love her. I kind of wish the full album had gone for the sound, because one of my main problems with this is a lot similar to X. It's very messy and very, it's not very cohesive, I guess to say. Well, to talk about some of the ones I like you have like Spinning Around, then On a Night Like This, which On a Night Like This is very electropop, very dancey, a really good track. But you have some that I'm personally not a huge fan of, like Love Boat, or to be honest, sorry to people, but Your Disco Needs You is not my favorite. Sorry, I know this one people really like, and people are gonna attack me, but not my favorite. You'll have Please Stay, which is Latin, which for this album I don't think works very well, just me. You'll have Bittersweet Goodbye, which is gorgeous, one of my favorite Kylie ballads ever. It's beautiful, but it is so weird and different from the rest of the album. It sticks out very bad. Well, not bad. It's just it's hard to explain. It sticks out really bad. I guess to say it's the best way I can word it. Under the Influence of Love isn't my favorite. I'm So High. Then you have Kids, which I like that track, but it's different from the rest of the album in that it's more rock heavy, so it's very weird. But again, there's a lot of tracks I do really like the singles, the rest of the singles. So Now Goodbye is really good. Disco Down, the title track, which Disco Down and Light Years, the title track, are very Giorgio Moroder type sounding songs. Kind of reminds me of Donna Summer's I Feel Love, which is fitting because she mixed Light Years with I Feel Love at the Fever Tour. But yeah, it's a good album, but definitely not my favorite. Yeah, sorry to upset anyone. It's a great album though, and the music video is really good. Cover art's beautiful. Yeah, that's all I gotta say about Light Years. Moving on, next is actually the next album, which is number 8 is Fever, which is her 8th studio album. Wow, I keep doing this. Yeah, Fever. This one actually might really surprise people because this one's held up as the grandiose Kylie album. Oh wow, it's her most famous best-selling single, and yeah, it is an iconic bop-filled album, and I do love it a lot. Not my favorite though. I don't know why. Kind of similar. Well, it's kind of different from Light Years. I like it definitely a lot better than Light Years, but to me, it's a little bit too clean, if that makes sense. I don't know exactly how to word it. Now, this one was going for a different vibe than Light Years. Light Years was, I should have mentioned this one time about Light Years, but Light Years was purposely very cheesy, very tongue-in-cheek, cutesy, which I love. I love that about the album. Whereas this album was very futuristic, very forward-looking. I mean, you have the look of the album full of, whites and very sleek, very postmodern, or I guess say like millennial 2000s. It was a really cool look, and I liked it a lot. And Kylie, to me, was a defining artist of new disco. I really think that she really brought that to the mainstream. At least to me, I could be wrong. Again, this track is very, very dancey. A very good album. I mean, you have "Can't Get Out of My Head," which is like her most famous song, her best selling, and it's just an iconic bop. And great groundbreaking music video for the time. Absolutely like it's just absolutely amazing. Very catchy beat. It's an earworm that gets in your head, like the title says. You have like "In Your Arms," "Love at First Sight," "Come Into My World," like constant, just hit after hit, and it was really. And also the tour for this album was really good too. Yeah, and there's some other tracks I really like. I love "Give It to Me." That's a great one. I think it would have been made a great single, but just me. "Dance Floor" is really good. Then you have some few tracks that I'm not a huge fan of, like "Your Love" or "Love Affair." I guess ones with love in the title. Those ones aren't exactly my favorite, but this was still like a really sleek dance pop album. It could have used a bit more edge and a bit more experimentalism, at least to me. That's what I meant when I said it's a bit too clean or too perfect. But honestly, this is an iconic album, and I'm really thankful that we got it. At number 7, we have Goldin. Now, this is her most recent studio album, and it is honestly a triumph in my opinion. This album is absolutely beautiful. It really gets the heartstrings going for me. And I consider this to be a triumph because I do not like country music in the slightest. So for this album to beat stuff like Fever and be like a country album is, again, I think is a triumph. I think it shows to me just, I think it's just such a good album. I really think the producers did an excellent job meshing pop and some disco and electro pop and country. And I think it's a really great produced album. You had the lead single "Dancing," which was, I think, a really great and sweet song. It gets me a little bit emotional considering what's about, but I think it's a really great song on its own, and it's very danceable too. I mean, come on, it's called "Dancing," so you know. And that's actually the main reason why I love this album so much is that the lyrics in it are so good, and she co-wrote all the songs on it, and so it has such a personal feel to it, which is very heartwarming. Like you'll have "Sincerely Yours," which is targeted towards her fans, and is like, it makes me so emotional to hear it because she talks about how even when she's dancing and like on stage and she's hurting, she does it all for like us, the fans, and it's so sweet. I love it so much. You have "Stop Me From Falling," which I really like. "Goldin," I love the title track of this album. It's really good. You have "Radio On," which is a beautiful ballad. Really gets the emotions for me. "Raining Glitter" is it's really like the disco track of this album. But disco and country is actually a pretty good mixture, of at least of what I've heard. And this one's no exception. I mean, "Raining Glitter" is amazing. I love the beat to it. I love the production on it. And this song deals with homosexuality and her support of the LGBTQ community. I know she performed at Pride, and considering how the lyrics are, you can definitely tell. And so that one has an extra layer of it's really sweet, and I love that she wrote that. You have the beautiful ballad "Music's Too Sad Without You" with Jack Savaretti. I don't know if I pronounced his name right, but that's a beautiful song. Yeah, and this album's just absolutely amazing. Also Shelby 68 is really good. Just I definitely recommend it. If you haven't heard it, I think it's really, really good. I don't know what to say, but it's just an absolutely amazing album, and I think it was a massive improvement since "Kiss Me Once," which was before this. Definitely, again, we needed a more personal and more heartfelt album, and this album definitely hit that bill. So Yeah, this is a great album, and it makes me really look forward to what we have next. Moving on to number 6, we have Aphrodite, which, yeah, I love this album so much. This is such a good album. Actually, quite similar to, a lot of people say it's quite similar to Fever and Light Years, which you might be confused as to why I'm ranking this higher. I don't know. I just like a lot more of the songs on this album. I think they're a bit more polished, very cohesive. Actually, a lot of people complained about how cohesive it is, which I find a little bit silly. But anyways, on this album, one of the producers was Stuart Price, who worked with Madonna on Confessions, an album I mentioned earlier, and he definitely adds a special touch to this album. It also had Calvin Harris on it, who is also an ex. But this one has some amazing tracks, like the lead single, which was All the Lovers, which is obviously very relevant as today. I mean, she calls us fans her lovers. It's a great track, very synth, disco, retro 80s. It's really iconic song, very beautiful too. It's ethereal, but it's still dancey, I guess to say. I think the production on it's amazing. And I love the music video. The music video was very iconic. You have Put Your Hands Up If You Feel the Love. I like both the album version and the single remix. The single remix goes for a high energy 80s sound, kind of as a reference to her Saw days, so I think that's really cool. You have Everything Is Beautiful, which is a beautiful track. The title track, Aphrodite, which is very anthemic, very epic. It was a great opening to her Aphrodite tour as well. Illusion's beautiful. Better Than Today is kind of prototype Goldin, because we had a country disco fusion, and it's a really great dance track. Then you have like Too Much, which goes into the more EDM rave type. That was from Harris, and that's a really good track too. One of my favorites. Just a very good dancey, good feeling album. I like the lyrics on it too, although Minogue didn't co-wrote any of them, except for she did co-write Illusion. It's a great album. I think is definitely worth checking out if you haven't heard it, which again, if you're watching this video and you're on my channel, I'm assuming you have heard it, but I think it's a stunning album. Great production, great vocals from Kylie too, actually. Not a lot of people mention it, but great album. At number 5, top 5 we have here, we have her debut album, Kylie. I find this funny because this is a lot of people's least favorite Kylie album. A lot of people in the rankings list this at the bottom. So I can definitely tell people are not going to agree with me. And I get it's a weird ranking, but gosh darn it, this album's cheesy. But I adore this album. Again, the same reasons why I said Enjoy Yourself was a letdown to me. I love Saw's synthy, energy disco production. It actually introduced me to that genre and made me absolutely fall in love with it. So danceable, and it makes you feel so good. Like, I love I Should Be So Lucky, which was the lead single. And that's a song that she likes to poke fun at, and a lot of people say it's cheesy, which it is cheesy, but it is honestly it's kind of like Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Back, where it's so cheesy, but like you can't help but dance to it and just love it. Got to Be Certain's really good. You had Locomotion, which I know people are gonna say, isn't that the lead single? Well, you have Saul's their version of it, which I really like. The 7-inch mix of it's my favorite. Je ne sais pas pourquoi, It's No Secret, Turn Into Love. Those are all some really great tracks. Cheesy 80s pop, but it's honestly, if you're into that and if you like Saul's production, it's absolutely a must album in my opinion. And honestly, this is when she really had a breakthrough with Locomotion, because she was pretty much a hit everywhere, including here in the US. So yay for that. Happy for that. Anyway, she disappeared and people thought she was a one-hit wonder here. We just missed out. We missed out on a lot of albums, a lot of good albums. But I love this album so much. I don't know how many times I can say that. But yeah, I don't know what it is. A lot of these albums I listed bottom at the bottom, like lower than this, like stuff like Aphrodite, I would consider to be better than this album, but it's totally just my. This album charms me. I don't know why. So take that as what you will. At number 4, we have Body Language, which was her third studio album with Parlophone and her 9th studio album overall. Now, this one encompasses everything that I didn't like about Fever. And like this album is everything I didn't like. It's more experimental. It's more edgy, I guess to say. Definitely more influenced by electroclash and club music, and it just has a bit more harder edges to it. At least to me, it still has disco in it, and R&B, which is funny because a lot of people at the time were like, "Oh, this is our first time with R&B," and it's like, did you guys miss out on 1994? And let's get to it, but I digress. But yeah, I love this album. Slow is such a good song. It's so weird, and I love the minimalistic production on it. It's very 80s, very retro. I love that track a lot. Very chilling, and her vocals on it are really beautiful. Still Standing, which is probably my favorite Kylie song, maybe. The production on the song absolutely blows me away. That's where I will say the production kind of takes the stage on that one. It's just such a danceable, funky, weird track, and that's why I love it. I love everything about it. Secret is amazing. Promises is so catchy. Sweet Music is awesome. Red Blood Woman was a great single. Chocolate is so like soft and groovy. It has a very 1994 vibe to it because it's more Quiet Storm, more mellow. But I love it. It's amazing. Obsession, I mean, it's just everything. And even the bonus tracks that we got here in the US, like You Make Me Feel, are really good. I think it's a great album, a great production. Some people do not like her vocals on it, which her vocals are more how do I put this? More, it's not a very belt out-ish album. It's more sexual, more flirty. I think her vocals are fine. They're not like the best. Again, she's not like really showing them pipes, but it's not really what it's meant to do. Though there is track where her vocals do shine, like the ballads and Slow, as I mentioned before. But yeah, I really think this is a groovy album. Groovy, you can tell I'm really awesome when I'm saying words like groovy. But it really is, and I think it's a funky, more experimental album, and yeah, I would say this is obviously my favorite of the Parlophone era. And yeah, so that is my thoughts on Body Language, my fourth favorite Kylie album. At number 3, top 3 we're at, yes, we have Rhythm of Love, which was also her third studio album. I keep matching these with the order they were released in. I don't know why. But Rhythm of Love is without a doubt my favorite PWL album. It took a while for me to warm up to it, but once I did, I really realized how great this album is and how it really is very, very, she was definitely taking more of a, she was definitely taking more control of things by this point. Which I think was worked out in the best, because this is not only her favorite PWL album, it seems to be PWL themselves' favorite Kylie album. And I mean, the tracks are amazing. You have Bear the Devil You Know, which is my favorite song from the album, one of my favorite Kylie singles ever, and songs in general ever. It's just such an infectious, and like I can get so addicted to that song. I listen to it over and over again. It's just such a catchy song. The productions on it is really good. I think it was a great single, great opening to the album. The music video was really well shot. Push Some Buttons, but it is really good. You have Step Back in Time, which is more 70s disco, which was Stockman and Waterman themselves going down a nostalgia trip, what influenced them. And you can tell that there's a lot of passion in the track, because it's a very, very well done track. What Do I Have to Do is so danceable, so amazing. then you have a bit more R&B stuff like Secrets or One Boy Girl, or Count the Days. Those are all really good too. Ballad World, The World Still Turns. And then you have really, really just dance tracks. Like, things can only get better. I think it's an amazing album. Great produced, great album of the 90s. Has some cheesy 90s moments, but that's part of its charm. I, the more I listen to it, the more I'm like, gosh, this is like such a great album. And yeah, I think it is a very iconic one. And yeah, so that's my third favorite Kylie album. So the top two, and number two is Impossible Princess. And I know, heresy, burn me at the stake. I know a lot of people would call this a crime, and maybe it is. I don't know, but it's not my favorite. It is my second favorite. Yeah, now this album, it is just, I've talked about before in other videos, but I mean, obviously worth mentioning, talk about here. Just absolutely incredible. And this was Kylie really, really getting in there. I mean, she co-wrote all the songs similar to Goldin, which I mentioned earlier. But this one you can definitely tell really came from like a personal place, and she was having a lot of feels. She was really experimenting and being very passionate about her music, and it just enhances the album. Honestly, I think so much. Now this album deals in the sounds. It's a very diverse album, but I think it works a bit more than something like Light Years or X. Like, this album features some Britpop, rock, some of the more Middle Eastern sounds I mentioned before, some techno, electronic music, trip hop, drum and bass, you name it, late 90s edgy music, like indie band type music. And speaking of which, I thought I mentioned this. Kylie did this before Madonna's Ray of Light, which I think these two albums sound totally different, but a lot of people say they sound the same. But even then, Kylie was not copying because she did this first, so thought I'd mention that because I get really annoyed at that criticism. Anywho, getting back to the actual album, yeah, the writing on this album's amazing. The production on it's really good. Again, Brothers in Rhythm did a great job. Manic Street Preachers worked on Some Kind of Bliss, which was the lead single. Not the best choice for a lead single, in my opinion, but it's still a great track. Really good rock type, Britpop type song. You have Did It Again, which which Kylie wrote in dealing with the press and her insecurities and her thoughts on herself and what the media depicted her as, and a very personal track and one of my favorites. And again, that one features the Middle Eastern sound that I love so much. Again, Kylie, release a Middle Eastern album. Like, you and your producers do such a good job on it. You have Cowboy Style, which is very Celtic, or Celtic, maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong, very Irish, very, and kind of country too. It's just a great track. I love it so much. It's just so wild. I love her vocals on it. She does like some howling, some yodeling, some tribal chanting. It's just amazing. You have Breathe, which is really nice mid-tempo electro song. Very, very soothing. Drunk, which is really, really techno and really danceable. She puts a lot of passion into those vocals. Jump, which is, I think, my favorite track from the album. Trip hop, it's very, again, a lot of it's self-reflection, and she talks about how she is her and y'all got to deal with it, and you know, if she's hungry, let her eat. If she's angry, let her feel that way. And I love that track a lot. Limbo is great. Through the Years is the drum and bass track, really, really good. Great production, and she wrote this about a breakup. I wonder if it's about Michael Hutchinson's but I digress. And you have Dreams, which is very dreamlike, beautiful track. And also the unreleased ones. I won't get into them because I'm talking a bit too much, and this video is going to be really long. But yeah, it's just a great album, and it's so influential, and it's a masterpiece, I would say, and a must listen to if you are a fan of 90s and more indie type music, I would have to say. Now you're probably like, well, what's number one? Well, obviously by order of elimination, you probably know that number one, my favorite Kylie album, is Kylie Minogue of 1994. Yeah, now, ironically, this was my first video, my first collection video. And that's fitting because this album just really, it's like, this is just so perfect, at least to me. I love everything about it. I love the singles that released. I love the music videos. I love the non-single tracks. I love the artwork, everything. I love the name, Kylie Minogue. It's so simple, but that's partially why I love it so much. It's so, I don't know how to describe it. It's just such a mature, classy, slick, just a really very soothing and easy to listen to album. This one has a very big variety of sounds, but they work so well. Like what I mentioned earlier with Light Years, which Please Stay is not my favorite, whereas this one we have Automatic Love, which is the more Latin track, and it fits amazing, and it's so beautiful. It's so like soothing. You have Confide in Me, the lead single, which was a huge hit for her, and it's one of her most well-known songs. It started this whole, really, in my opinion, really was the big starter to this whole Middle Eastern thing that she had going on, and I really love that she was doing it. Very indie, trip hop. I love the production on it. Her vocals vocally, this is her strongest album of all of them, and I've never met anyone to argue with that, because I mean, she just belts out. You can tell she was really training with this album. Interestingly, in Confide in Me, she took that in one take. She got out of the taxi, went in the recording studio, went back to the taxi. Like, queen, I stan. Her vocals are so beautiful, so magical, and she sounds like a siren, like in the track leading sailors to their death. But it's so beautiful. I love the music video. It's so artsy, so striking. I'm not gonna talk about it because I'll be here all day, but it's great. Surrender is such a mellow R&B track. A lot of this album has a lot of R&B in it. In fact, If I Was Your Lover is also New Jack Swing, which was miles better than the New Jack Swing found on Let's Get To It. It is, oh gosh, the production is just so good on it. It's more hard hitting, I guess to say, than some of the other tracks, but it works so well, and it's definitely a extra flavor that's added. Where's the Feeling? I like the album version the best. It's very jazzy. You have Put Yourself in My Place, which is a beautiful ballad, beautiful vocals she was putting on there. Dangerous a Game, which is probably her best vocal track on here. Where's the Love Gone? A very good house dance track, and kind of a more softer one. You have Falling, Techno, and Time Will Pass You By, which is kind of disco and kind of house and dance pop. But this album is just so it's so different from everything else she's done, including Impossible Princess. And to me, this is really one of her most forgotten about albums. Like, I don't see this album mentioned a lot, except for Confide in Me. And I know a lot of you guys mentioned, well, about Impossible Princess. And you're right, Impossible Princess is not mentioned a lot by her, but it's mentioned a lot by her fans. Whereas this album, to me, is not. At least to me. Maybe I'm just biased because it's my favorite, but that's the way I feel. It's not the type of album that I would normally like. It's very slow. It's not very dancey. I love my dance pop. I love my disco. But this one, it's very, very different. I don't know how to word it, but which I probably should know how to word it because I'm doing this video on it. But it is without a doubt my favorite Kylie Minogue album, and probably one of my favorite albums just in history. I could listen to this album over and over again. I love every track on it, and if you have not heard it, I recommend it. Which again, I'm guessing you probably have. But yeah, so that is it. That is my ranking of all of Kylie's albums today. My opinions change a lot, but I feel confident in this listing. I don't know if I did a good job with my listing, but that's how I'm feeling. So that's what I gotta say. And I hope you all kind of enjoyed this type of video. I'm planning on doing some other album rankings. Unless you all hate this video, I don't know. I guess we'll see. But thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoy. Let me know your thoughts on my ranking. You probably all hate it. But let me know your thoughts and what your ranking is. Come up, we're all fans here. Let's share our opinions and not be hateful. So this was Kylie Language, and I'll see y'all next video. Bye-bye.